AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is Karting with a K. Get to Joe's today. It is the only indoor karting facility in the Metro. Now, I guess I should take that back. There is a go-kart track at, Amazing Pizza Machine?
Oh, there's several.
It's about a 300-foot track, and you go about,
if that,
push 2 miles an hour because it's designed for kids.
Yeah, and nothing against it. It's designed for. I tell you what, we do at Joe's.
Crowd.
Instead of talking smack on them, we want to embrace the other karting facilities. So, there is 3 or 4 other places that's more designed towards the younger racers, the younger drivers. Mm-hmm. We are the premier adult racing facility. When I say adult racing facility, there's no alcohol, nothing discretionary going on. It's a place where adults can go and hang out and have fun and race against each other and not have to deal with, let's be honest, with a bunch of little kids running around getting in your way.
And when you say adult, by that you mean that it's designed for
ages 14 on up.
Well, and it's not a kid's track. It takes some upper arm strength.
Yeah.
And honestly, it takes a bit of a pair to get around that track, because I don't know how many times we've heard people say, I can't believe how fast these karts go. And I took a couple of friends out there one time, terrified out of their minds the first 5 or 6 laps. Once they got it figured out, then they kind of slowed down, they calmed down, and then they had some fun.
Well, the one thing I'm wondering is, you say it takes a pair. When did you ever get your pair?
It was about a week and a half ago.
What'd you do, get them out of a gumball machine? What's in store today?
All right, big show lined up for you today. Turn number 1, we're going to talk about Daytona. We're going to talk to Joe's Dirt Track Series. In turn number 2, we're going to talk with Ben Shelton of MSR Mafia.
I'm actually excited about this.
I'm really excited to talk to Ben. He's a great guy, and anyways, we'll talk to Ben. Hudson Hall coming up in turn number 3, and turn number 4, we'll talk to you about the Pick'ems contest. We'll review Phoenix International Raceway and give you our advice. I think we need to start giving some people some tips on how to do the Pick'ems contest, but we'll get into that in turn number 4. Right now, turn number 1, the Joe's Karting Dirt Series. You guys have got that. It starts when? March
1st.
Okay, so it started yesterday.
March 1st, started yesterday, runs March 1st through October 26th. Basically what we do is, if you're a dirt racer, I don't care if you're a cage kart, a flat kart, or a World of Outlaw sprint car, anybody can sign up. It's $20. $15 goes into the pot. Joe's Karting added $1,000 to the pot, and then you have to give me your schedule up front. I need to know what night and what track you race. It's $20 per class. You get points on your A-feature finishes, and then if you come to Joe's between March 1st and October 26th, you get bonus points, and then we add up the points, and that's our point total at the end of the year. But it's paying out really good. With 30 or more drivers paying out top 10, 29 or less, we pay out top 5. Right now, we're at 22 drivers. Guess what the first place payout is? $454.
And like you said, if I remember correctly, next year, every time somebody goes to Joe's, a portion of that is contributed to the pot. So it continues to grow each and every week.
It continues to grow, but we have some neat incentives on top of the payout. Some of the things, McCool Junction, you might have heard of them, a NASCAR sanctioned dirt track, York, Nebraska. They did 2 of them. As long as you claim a minimum 8 nights on your dirt track series through Joe's, the lowest finishing person that's qualified gets a free registration fee into the 2015 season. Whoever has the most points gets a free season pit pass. Nordquist Fab, one of the newest sponsors, 50% off of a body for a modified. We're talking a $450, $500 value. Mm-hmm. Simply for signing up for $20 if you win. Now, that goes to the lowest finishing, so it's not all going to the top 10. It's spread out. Go to Facebook, look up Joe's Karting Dirt Track Series. All the info's right there. Nobody at Joe's, I want to make this clear, nobody at Joe's knows how to score it, and they don't know how to run it. They only know how to sell it to you. Mm-hmm. You just go and tell them you want to do the Dirt Track program, the Dirt Track Series. They'll sign you up. I run the whole thing.
Yeah, I just want to point out, someone at Joe's does know how to run it. It's just you, though. You're the one that runs the whole thing. You're the official that runs the entire thing. So, Joe's Karting Dirt Series is where you can get more information on that. A lot of guys had a lot of fun with it last year. It just keeps growing each and every year.
Yep.
So, you've got starting today, actually starting yesterday, you can get a hold of Buddy, go to the Joe's Karting Dirt Series page. You can email him at Joe's Karting and get all the information. You ready to talk some Daytona 500 news?
Yeah, let's talk about the Sport Mod 500, as I call
it. Not much can be said besides what hasn't been said already. Obviously, the green flag threw about 12:30, and then the rain came on lap 38. We got rained out, and I got to give NASCAR, first and foremost, I got to give them credit because they did everything they possibly could do to get that race in. And I've heard some criticism, people saying, well, they should have canceled, they should have postponed it, and you know what? You're not obviously thinking through a situation because you don't send 120,000 people home because it's raining hard when it's going to clear up. You're seeing the radar. It's going to clear up in a few hours. They did everything they could. And the perfect example I thought of, guess who we know that was down there?
Who's that?
Joe Koziski was down there. Monday is his drive home day. He had to be back in Omaha on Tuesday.
He's got to go to work like everybody else. He's got to pay the bills.
If they would have postponed that race until Monday,
at work.
And guess what? There's no, well, thanks for coming out. Here's your money back for today's race. It says right on the back of the ticket, we are not responsible for rain or weather issues. You don't get your money back on that race.
No, but you know what I actually do like about the Daytona 500 with these rain delays? Is the fact that we get to watch the Daytona 500 under the lights. That is my favorite part of the whole deal. Now, watching it under the lights.
I am becoming a fan of running under the lights, moving the Daytona to Sunday night, maybe even Monday night. But I want to caution people that the racing we saw last Sunday night won't happen every year.
No.
In fact, it'll probably not happen again. There was a rare instance where there was another storm moving in on its way, and every driver was trying to lead to lap 100 and then keep leading after lap 100 just in case the rain came and they canceled it at halfway.
Yep.
That was the reason why we saw some, and then there was the cooler temperatures producing more horsepower, producing more RPM, more traction on the track. We saw a lot of factors come together that brought us some fantastic racing. Do you think the Daytona 500 was made better because of who won it?
No.
I don't think so either. I think Junior Nation is incredibly excited right now, and NASCAR Nation is abuzz because everyone that loves Junior and loves this sport saw a kid and a guy and a man win that they have wanted him to win so bad. And it made for a better story.
The last time Junior won the 500 was what, 2001?
4.
Or 2004.
Yep, he finished second in 2001. The year his dad passed away.
You know, in the three car, we'll get to that in a second. The three car makes its return and Earnhardt wins. Mm-hmm. How cool was that? I mean, just the coincidence that was really, really cool.
Oh no, clearly that was a conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah,
clearly that was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Hendricks paid Mike Shelton like $500,000.
And I can't get over it. NASCAR can't win. I mean, they really can't win.
It's one of those damned if you do and damned if you don't.
But let's just take the situation. The NFL has the ability to play their biggest game, the Super Bowl, indoors in a controlled environment in a southern state, okay? We have to run our biggest race outside. It's just the nature of the beast. They have their Super Bowl, the last Super Bowl, between Denver and Seattle in New York City in cooler temperatures, but it was mid-30s to the 40s, and there was no snow, no precipitation, no wind. It was a beautiful day.
Yep.
We have ours, and we get a massive rainstorm, but we got some great racing because of it. And then because of who won, if Junior hadn't won, the conspiracy theories would be out there saying that Hendrick's not giving him the best equipment. He did win, and everyone said it was because the 3 was back on the track. They can't win. Obviously, no. NASCAR is staging all of this.
I tell you what, though, it's not like Junior ran away with that win by no means. Because Keselowski looked good there the last few laps.
Keselowski, Hamlin, Gordon, Johnson.
Good Lord.
Everybody in that top 5 had a shot. Biffle. Yep. I noticed how Biffle in that got shuffled out there going along the backstretch, and he got
so
shuffled 3 wide.
Earnhardt earned that, legitimately earned it.
I think so.
Yes.
The dude ran, and by the way, I did get a little choked up just seeing how excited that guy was to win.
That I did not get to see.
You don't see that very often. He drove along the entire front stretch.
Well, I saw that part, but
out of the car,
down in the pits,
waving,
I didn't see that.
And he was hugging every crew member, and he's having personal conversations with them, and you keep hearing stories. And then the media tour the guy went on the next few days after that. He was on ESPN News. He was on SportsCenter. He was on all the racing shows. He was on all the TV shows. I mean, he was everywhere.
Question. With his name being Earnhardt, do you think that's what got him on? I mean, obviously, you win the Daytona 500, you're going to be on a lot of shows. But had it been Hamlin, Kenseth, Busch,
no,
you don't think they'd been on quite as much?
He'd have had a media frenzy, but not near as much. Tony Stewart goes on it when he wins. Danica Patrick will go on it when she wins. Earnhardt obviously goes on it when he wins. But there are few drivers. Do you think there's anybody else that's probably a big name like that?
Actually, I would say one of the Bush brothers, if they were to win it, just because of their history and their tempers and whatnot. Everybody's going to want to know what's changed.
I think they're big inside the media, inside the NASCAR world, but they don't have that crossover.
Right.
Tony Stewart has it, Danica has it, and Dale has it. Those are the three drivers I think that have it. I don't even think Jimmy has it.
No,
but it's not.
Everybody's so used to seeing Jimmy win. It's like, okay, well, he won the 5. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's new? He won another race.
There's that 48 car in victory lane again. Dale Jr., Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, your top 5. Matt Kenseth, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Greg Biffle, Austin Dillon, and Casey Mears all round out your top 10.
So let's go straight into Austin Dillon. What do you think?
Have at it. Well,
I'm gonna let you talk before I say something.
Plain and simple, I think the guy driving that number 3 car showed that it was his first full-time shot at Cup. He's ran a couple of super speedway races. I did a little bit of research. I think he's run 1, maybe 2 in a Cup car. He showed his rookiness on Sunday night. And you know what? He took out a couple of guys. He ended a couple of guys' nights. He got incredibly lucky. But it was one race, and it's one of the harder races to run on the circuit. I'm not going to judge him on one race, especially one race in his rookie season.
Now, for those listeners out there, during the 500, I didn't get to see a lot of the race. I was out picking up a sport mod for a fellow competitor. I was also under the impression that there was quite a few big ones that Austin was involved in, or he may have helped start.
And he did bring out a couple of cautions.
Okay, so he brought out a couple of cautions. Now, you're absolutely right, Dan. Whether it be Austin Dillon or somebody in the dirt track world, when you're a rookie, you're going to make rookie mistakes. But correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you're in the Cup Series, you're supposed to be the best of the best. Regardless, people have put their time, money, and effort into you because they think you're the best of the best. You're in the upper echelon of racing, stock car racing. Now, hold on, let me finish.
Don't go to another point. I want to talk to you about that, though.
But while, yes, he has afforded some mistakes, I think he went a little overboard, even being a rookie. Mm-hmm. I think he made a little too many mistakes, even for being a rookie. He cost a lot of people good cars. He cost a lot of people good finishes. And I really hope that this is a very isolated incident because I really don't think Tony Stewart cares that that's, Childress's grandson. That's, one of Earnhardt's proteges, growing up as a kid.
That's not Earnhardt's protege.
Well, him and Earnhardt, the senior Earnhardt were pretty close.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
Austin was, he's 19 right now, so he was 4 or 5 when senior was killed. He was around the area. I wouldn't say that a protege is the wrong word. Because that suggests that Earnhardt
maybe
worked
as a mentor
with him.
As he's grown up, he's starting to become a mentor to Austin. But if I'm sitting here, now this is me speaking, right, wrong, or indifferent, but if I'm Childress going, look, grandson, I know you made some mistakes out there, but you're going to have to cool it. I mean, you're in that 3 car, you're getting a little too excited. And I think that's where a lot of his mistakes came from, or maybe being a little too excited behind that wheel. Now, is that a rookie mistake? Absolutely. But, you go out there and you tear up 10, 15 cars. Okay, back her down a little bit. I mean, you got the entire season. Let's not be making enemies before you even get started in the Cup.
He acknowledged it in the post-race that he had some sorries to throw out when he gets to Phoenix and when he's there today. You know what? The kid's going to make some mistakes.
Well, sure, everybody's going to make mistakes.
And he made some big mistakes. But you know what? Tony made a big mistake at Talladega a few years ago and cost the entire field their car. And he's the 3-time champion. So, I fought on Facebook a lot because I wasn't a big fan of him taking over the 3. I wasn't also dramatically opposed to it. But, he brought on a lot of this criticism himself by taking on the 3.
He's in a precarious position because he's going to be another one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if he doesn't, everybody's expecting that 3 car to be up front, but if he doesn't rise to the occasion, put that 3 car up front, everybody's going to be like, well, he doesn't really deserve a 3 car.
But that's not fair.
Well,
that's not fair.
It's not fair.
Because nobody has put the 43 up front like Richard Petty, yet they don't criticize him like that. Very few people have been able to put the 11 up front. Denny Hamlin has done a great job with the 11.
Oh, yeah.
Taking over for Michael Waltrip when he had the number 11, and he was a big... all these numbers, there's only 99 numbers we've ever ran in NASCAR. Yep. Everybody has dominated under a car number at some point in time. You can't sit sit here and say just because it was Dale Sr.'s number 3 that Austin is supposed to stand up to a guy who won the most at restrictor plates and a guy who won 7 championships.
You're absolutely right.
It is completely unfair to say, Austin Dillon, here's your pole just because you're
here's what's
going to
happen. If he does win a race, if he does run top 3, here, then all of a sudden it's Childress is giving him the best of the best, and they're putting all the resources.
Of course.
And that's just not fair to him either. I mean, back off. Honestly, Austin is just another driver.
Give him 2 years.
He's just another driver.
Give him 2 years. You can start criticizing him on year number 3, but give him 2 years.
So let's talk. Okay, so Austin obviously finished higher up than this other rookie I'm getting ready to go into, Larson.
Kyle ran a better race than I thought he would, but he got it, and it was Austin that took him out at the end that ended Larson's night. Larson did a really good job of rebounding from a rookie mistake that on lap number 1 or 2, he hits the wall, and then he cuts a tire down. But after thinking about it a lot, Austin was involved in several accidents and should have been far back in the pack laps down. Larson was involved in his own mistakes, but he didn't make any contact with anybody, and then Austin wrecked him. The difference between Austin and Larson is simply for who they drive for. Richard Childress Racing is in a much better situation than Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, and Austin was the benefactor of a team that was able to keep that car together and workable, as to where I think Kyle went out on lap number 1 with a car that was not prepared. There was something wrong with that car from the get-go, and we saw it time and time again with Juan Pablo driving that car. It's inferior technology, it's inferior parts, and it's an inferior race team. I honestly don't think Larson is going to be able to do much because it's the same argument I made with Kurt Busch at Phoenix Racing. He is a tremendous talent. We saw it, and we're seeing it again. But an inferior race team will hold you back.
Fair enough.
And we got to take a break. We got to get over to Ben Shelton into turn number 4. We're going to try to we'll try to get some time later on in the show to continue our wrap up of the Daytona 500. We'll be right back here on the front stretch.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts. Our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
We're working the High Line into turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 2, brought to you by Kaziski Auto Parts. Online at KaziskiAutoparts.com and located in Omaha at 51st and I Street. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Get to Kaziski Auto Parts today. Maybe you got caught up in one of these snowstorms that we had all later this week, and you just need to get yourself, it could be even something as simple as a fender. It's one of those beauty things that always irritates people, and it's so much to go to a body shop and get it fixed. You can go over to Kaziski Auto Parts. Maybe they have the exact same fender for you. You'll never know until you get to 51st and I Street in Omaha.
I saw Andrew today. You know what Andrew was doing behind the counter?
Nothing.
He stretched. He went, oh.
Get over
he was
there.
tired. Give Andrew some business.
We're on the phone with a guy I got to meet at the pits for I-80 Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals last year, and a guy that, as I keep doing more and more research about, I think is really driving dirt racing scene nationally. Ben Shelton's on the phone, owner of MSR Mafia, and joining us this morning on the front stretch. Ben, appreciate you taking your time.
Oh, it's my honor to be here, guys. And I got to say about poor Kaziski there. A guy's not on the line, and you just kick him when he's down. I see how it works.
That's kind of the way we do it.
Hey, why not? Why not? Well played.
We're pretty good at throwing people under the bus, but...
Stick around long enough, you'll find the undercarriage of a bus, I'm sure. I've been made the chrome bullhorn. I don't know how many times on this show.
Don't give us any dirt because we will use it against you.
I understand.
Now, I want to start off by what is MSR Mafia? How did you get it started? When did you get it started? And what's its main goal?
Well, it's been going about, it was really started in back around 2007, so I guess we're about year 7 or 8 now, and when I was just getting started when I was in college, and really didn't get a computer until my freshman year of college, if you can imagine that, back in 99, and my uncle made the comment, we got on the internet, he said, there's racing stuff out there, there's nothing for around Memphis. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, hotbed of sprint car racing, and I created a website called MidSouthRacing.com, and it's still going. It's kind of a news and forum type deal. It's got about 10,000 users on the forum. It's a good deal. It covers the Southeast. And a few years into doing that, track down in Columbus, Mississippi, Johnny Stokes got it, future dirt late model Hall of Famer, no doubt. And he called me. You ever thought about doing a track website? I said, well, why not? So from there, I got 4 or 5 websites, and by 2007, I thought, I ought to call this thing something different. So I came up with the idea, MSR Mafia. MSR stood for Mid-South Racing, because I never thought I'd grow outside the region. And then the Mafia, I just wanted something that if I made a bumper sticker or a T-shirt, people would look at it and go, Mafia, what is this? And it'd make them want to check into it. Well, as things have progressed, luckily I was able to use that three-letter abbreviation. Now that stands for Motorsports and Racing Mafia, and I've got roughly 200 clients in Canada and Australia, and I think 38 states now. So it's been very good to me. I'm no longer a civil engineer. I did that for 10 years. And I work full-time in racing now between the websites and the PR with that, and I do a lot of announcing and broadcasting. So be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you get it.
And by the way, you do a fantastic job. The one memorable moment, and it couldn't have happened the first time I met you, obviously, the Silver Dollar Nationals, and you got to you did that post-rec interview. Was it with Brian Burkhofer? I think you mentioned on the microphone, was that probably your second most tense interview? At
the time it was number 1 on the list, and I remember walking over there. I was on the headset talking to the tower, and we're live to not only to the massive crowd that's there, we're live to the world on the pay-per-view. And I said, I've never seen Brian this mad. And my best friend, Michael Rigsby, on the Dirt on Dirt, he's like, I'll just interview him. It'll be fine. And I was like, okay. And, of course, the infamous words. And then I thought that would never be topped until about 3 months later. And I was in Greenville, Mississippi. And one of my clients, actually, Bub McCool, in Victory Lane, of all places, he hung out the promoter and the race director out to dry. And it became a pretty infamous video as well. So Berghofer and Bub McCool, they went down in history. Those, along with the riot I initiated on the front straightaway at my home track, Riverside Speedway in West Memphis, Arkansas, about 6 years ago between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Sammy Swindell. That's probably my 3 most memorable moments. So, it's you ask one question, next thing you know, there's a 20-man battle royal going on the front straightaway. You got to love anything that involves Sammy Swindell.
So when you're standing there talking to a driver, such as Bub McCool, who hangs out the track owner and the promoter and whatnot, out in the air, how awkward is that for you sitting in that position in front of the fans and everything?
Well, it's very awkward. I mean, part of it is, it's not even as much awkward as you don't know what direction to go next. Bub was down there in Greenville, Mississippi, which is ground zero for Bub McCool. If there were 1,000 people there that night, 999 of them came to see Bub McCool win. So when he got that just kicked the crowd up a whole nother notch. They loved it. And we've got a massive storm that's moving in. We pushed the show along 2 hours than it's supposed to be. There's a huge storm coming in. And then Bub, I knew when he got out of the car it was going to go ugly because he was hot. And he unleashed on the microphone, and then here comes the promoter. And as I tried to sneak away back to the grandstand, up to the press box, as raindrops began to fall, I hear him over everything go, I'm sorry, Ben. And then Berghofer apologized to me. But, I wrote an article a couple of months ago about both of those. And, both of those guys apologized to me. Now, Sammy Swindell never apologized to me for initiating the riot at Riverside that night, but which is on YouTube if you want to find it.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one, but those other two, I wrote an article and I said, while it was awkward and I was speechless at the time, the thing about it is that's the beauty of our sport.
Exactly.
That's the personalities and things that go with it. There's so many sports where they're squished and they're kiboshed and people can't say what they think. And I told Berghofer and I told Bub, I said, well, it might have been awkward and maybe it could delve out the language a little bit for some of our younger listeners. That's what makes our sport so awesome. So, no need to apologize. It's the passion. guys in dirt racing, whether you're a late model, a sprint car, modified, or a mini sprint car, they hate to lose.
Yeah.
And when they lose or they're done wrong, they're going to let you know. And I think that's actually pretty cool, and that's what keeps people coming back.
Well, we've been pretty starved up here in the north for some great dirt track action. What can you give us a little bit of any good stories, good racing, good finishes that you've seen over the last couple of weeks that maybe you can fill our bellies a little bit with?
Well, definitely. I've seen a lot of great racing to start the year. I think up until I got home Sunday night, I'd been home 13 days this year. February 23rd, I'd been home 13 days. It was pretty depressing if you think about it. And but I started out the year, saw some great stuff out with NDRL out in El Paso and Tucson, and a lot of parity out there, and saw the Moyers get off to a good start in the new Moyer Extreme by Longhorns, and saw John Blankenship get off to a good start. And, of course, Ryan Gustin, who set the world on fire last year at I-80 Speed Leader with Silver Dollar Nationals. He picked up a $10,000 win. And that really set the stage for Florida. I actually just wrote another article today for OneDirt.com that'll be up soon. And it's about the fact that sometimes during the Georgia-Florida Speed Weeks, you might see one guy that's never won down there. Not that has never won before, but has never won during Speed Weeks win. We saw 7 this year in the dirt late model ranks. And, man, it was exciting. I mean, it started at Ocala, where we saw Brady Smith and Brandon Shepard get their first Florida wins during Speed Weeks, and then you go and Bobby Pierce gets his first win at East Bay, and he does something his dad, Hall of Fame dad, Bob Pierce, never did. He won at East Bay, which is amazing that Bob never won there. And then we go to Volusia, and we have 5 shows, and 4 of them are won by first-time guys, and some of them in thrilling fashion. You had Casey Roberts run Scott Bloomquist down on the white flag lap to win, and a guy like Kenny Pettyjohn from Maryland or from Delaware that not only did he get his first win, but he won like $13,000 during the course of Speed Weeks overall, and every penny of it, him and his team donated to Wounded Warrior Project. So there were a lot of cool things. I'm excited about dirt late model racing this year. There seems to be more parity than ever before, and that's something we hadn't had the past few years. We've had 2 or 3 guys dominating on the national level, and I think this year I don't think you're going to see domination. I think there's too many good competitors. There's too many good new chassis, and I think we're in for a real treat here in 2014.
2 questions for you. Let's go back to that comment, on the national level. When I look at the national level, I mean, here in the Omaha, Nebraska, Council Bluffs, Iowa area, we have some late model racing, but not quite like what you see down there in the Southeast. Around here, we see a lot of modified racing, but you guys don't see a lot of modified racing down there in the Southeast. Why do you think that difference is?
Well, I can tell you in the Southeast where I live around Memphis. Now, my home track, Riverside, on a given week, they can have anywhere from 14 to 24 modifieds. They still do decent here. The modifieds do well 3 hours west of me in I-30 Speedway in Little Rock, Arkansas. Apart from that, they're pretty much a dead breed down here. Now, there's a few specials that draw well. And you get down into Texas, and that's a different breed. But in the Southeast, the modifieds killed themselves. I watched even some of my local tracks start paying $1,000 to win the modifieds. That's weren't what they were designed for. And you had guys overspend the division. Well, next thing you know, here came great late models down the block. Well, guys could be competitive in a late model for 3/4 of the cost what they were spending to run a modified. And, so guys just jump ship, and, people are still working to get the modified to survive, and it's just amazing in an area that has Larry Shaw race cars and GRT race cars that modifieds are really struggling. And I think it's a cost thing. And, another problem is that a lot of times down here, we've got a lot of bull rings down here, a lot of hooked up bull rings, and you get guys out there and 800 horsepower motors on 9-inch tires, and there's a lot more power than there is ability there. And it kind of brings the class down because you got 20 cars, you got 4 guys that ruin the whole show. And you got 16 that could put on a pretty good show, but the other 4 overshadow it, and it makes it be, not a fan favorite. So I think there's a lot of factors. I think that cost being one of the biggest ones, and then just other options and divisions to run that guys just figured, hey, I can move up to a late model, maybe eventually a full-blown late model for what it's cost me to run this modified.
Do you think as the sport evolves in the late models, right off the top of my head, I'm looking at the Fast Track series. That's a real popular series down there southeast. You got the Fast Track. Up here we got the MRLA. You got the CBC. You got the NCRA.
SLMR.
You've got the SLMR, the IMCA. When you have the late models, do you think it's going to end up hurting late model racing when we've almost over-diluted late model racing with so many factions, where if we were to back it down and only have, instead of having 50 different sanctions of late models, if we only had 25 sanctions, do you think that would help the car count grow maybe?
I think the bigger problem isn't necessarily the sanctions. I think it's I think this is kind of where you're going with it, are all the different ways we're breaking down late models. I'm all about having maybe a crate and a super, but now we got a crate, and then we got a 525, which isn't quite a crate, but it's not quite an open motor. And then we got a super, and one of my real good friends, Chris Douglas, he's VP of marketing at Comp Chems, and Comp Chems is one of my biggest customers, and I do a lot of work with them. They own, outside Comp Chems, they own about 30 companies at this point. And, we talk a lot, and I bounce a lot of ideas off them. And he told me, he said, I watched it happen. He was a pavement racer, and he ran a little bit ARCA and maybe, I think, a few nationwide races. And he said, I watched it in that. He said, in the local weekly deal, people kept making up new rule packages where, okay, well, in this division, the engine's only this, this, and this. And in this division, and what it amounted to is the car counts got dwindled so bad, the tracks couldn't survive anymore, and all of a sudden, you didn't have to worry about if somebody was out dollaring you. You had to worry about the fact that there was nowhere to run because the tracks had shut down because interest was lost. And he said, that's what worries me about what's going on now. And, whether you're a proponent of crate racing or not, okay, that's a beginner level. But when you start having all these different variations, all of a sudden we're just chopping things up more and more. And so I think that's something that we're going to have to look at. One thing I will say, when the crates first came in, they took a lot away from the super late model ranks. A lot of guys, the crates also brought some guys into late models that couldn't afford otherwise, and then they jumped into supers. Same token, some guys got into crates and realized this car, other than the motor, is not a whole lot different than when I'm running in super. I'm running for less money. I'm going to go back to super. So we're actually in some markets seeing it come full circle where guys left super go to crates. Now they're coming back to supers. So, there's a good even balance. And like I said, the crates have got a definite place in the South. There's tracks like Why Not Motorsports down in Meridian, Mississippi. They couldn't afford to run supers. They run crates weekly, though, and they average about 20 cars a week. So in my mind, at least we're keeping late models on the track down there.
We're talking with Ben Shelton, owner of MSR Mafia. It's a company that helps keep dirt late model racing, keeps dirt racing foremost in people's minds, helps promote dirt racing and gets a real marketing push behind it. And Ben, you do a great job over there at MSR Mafia. You got to interview Scott Bloomquist in the pits. Was it back in Volusia a few weeks ago when he got himself another win?
Yeah, that was actually last Thursday night. Interviewed Scott, and it's been an evolution throughout my career of interviewing Scott. I can remember when I first started doing the stuff with Dirt on Dirt about 4 years ago, and he didn't know who Dirt on Dirt was. He sure didn't know who Ben Shelton was. And we'd approach. Scott would be kind of reluctant, and I actually joked with Michael Rooks the other night. I said, we've come full circle. I said, because on the way down there to interview him, I knew it was going to be a great interview that night because he's very proud of the new car. He's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder because, people really kind of run him into the dirt the past year or so that, he's done and all that. Sure enough, if you watch that interview, he does not disappoint. He was pointing, and that's the thing I love about Scott. I always tell people, I'm like, if you don't like me, just tell me. I'll appreciate your honesty a lot more than I will, your lip service that you're telling me what I want to hear, not what you mean. You never have to worry about that with Scott.
Yeah.
He's going to be honest with you, and that was a pretty classic interview with him, and I thought it was very interesting. When I asked him, I said, what do you got to say? There's a lot of people that are rooting against Scott. Bloomquist are watching this. There's a lot that are rooting for you. What do you say to him? And he goes, at the end of the day, all that really matters is my family and the people that really support me because I know that they're really behind me. That's all that really matters. And I thought that was a really cool answer. But, yeah, when Scott's on top of his game, there's going to be interview gold at any point, and it makes our sport, there again, personalities of our sport. We had a few years ago at the Topless 100 when he had led most of the race and had a flat late, and Jared Landers won. It was a day race, and it was actually a really good day race, and I knew it was going to be a classic Bloomquist interview. And we get over there, and he's already declined the Speed TV guys. He won't talk to them. And I remember Dave Argabright goes, Ben, he ain't going to talk to anybody. I said, I bet he talks to us. And sure enough, we walk up, and one of his crew steps out of the holler and says, Scott wants you to come in here. And that's when he made his infamous, I don't even feel like I ran a race today comment. And, just things like that about Scott, whether you like him or not agree with him, you've got to love how he lays it all out there. And, it makes it fun from my angle. There's nothing worse than an interview with a guy that either won in a big way or lost in a big way, and he just, he's very mundane about it. You got to love a guy that is over the top, or he's down in the gutter, but he's going to let you know where he's at.
So if you get an interview with Scott Bloomquist and he gives you a good interview, you're pretty lucky.
I think it goes back to how you define good interview.
He did one with us for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all about catching Scott at the right time. And Scott's like a lot of guys. You got to recognize when to go talk to him and when not to. And I read these internet forums. I mean, I've got one, and I read things about him and guys like Billy Moyer and other ones. And maybe I get a lot more time around him than a lot of people. So I've got a different opinion. And I'll say right now, neither one. Now, Billy Moyer Jr. is one of my clients, but Billy Moyer and Scott Bloomquist, neither are my clients. So I'm not trying to beef them up because of that. But I think those guys get a bad rap a lot of times because I see it all the time. They're getting ready to, they tore something up and they're thrashing to get ready for the feature, or they're getting ready for the feature period. And people want to come up and talk then. And, I always try to give those people an example. If you're having a really stressful day at work, you want somebody to come down and sit down in your office and give you 20 questions.
Yeah.
And, you just got to put it in perspective. And same deal with these NASCAR guys, Tony Stewart and them. I mean, I've seen so many of them take so much time out, but all you ever hear is that one time, well, they were too busy, they're too good to talk to me. No, you went up there when he was in the middle of trying to get ready for something. So it's all about timing, and it is. And a lot of these guys, you get great interviews, and they're great people. Final Scott Bloomquist story, I always tell people that talk about he won't talk to people. I was down at Why Not Motorsports Park a few years ago, and I got Scott to come down there for a big end-of-the-year fall classic in October. And it was probably about 4 in the afternoon on Friday, and I was standing in the back of the press box looking out, and Scott had walked into the concession stand. When he comes out, these two elderly couples cornering. When I say elderly, the youngest person in the group was probably 80, and they cornered him. So I walked outside, and the first thing that one of the women says, I'll tell you right now, I don't like you. I like Billy Moyer. And Scott just laughed at, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. So anyway, these 4 people for the next 30 minutes barraged him with questions, some of them the same question over and over. And he sat there and he answered everything they had, and they just knocked us or whatever until that they were done and patted him on the back and he walked off. And that, if you're going to badmouth people, that's fine, but what's also when people do take time to spend with fans, and you don't, let's give them a shout out for that.
Ben Shelton of MSR Mafia. We're going to try to check in with Ben throughout the year, get us pumped up for the Silver Dollar Nationals, and hopefully Ben can join us at I-80 Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals. Ben,
I'd like to have Ben in the studio come Silver Dollar Nationals.
This guy's a busy guy. It's tough to get him locked down. I mean, he's like I say, what you said 13 days you'd been at home as of February 23rd?
Yeah, that's about what I've been so far, and looking at my schedule, I think I got about 110 total nights of announcing this year, everything from modifieds to late models to sprint cars to you name it. So I stay pretty busy, but you know what? Like my wife always says, even when I'm having a bad day, she goes, your worst day now versus your best day as a civil engineer, and I'm like, you're right.
Yep.
I got everything I want. I need to just shut up and suck it up and make it happen.
All right, Ben, we appreciate your time. We'll let you go, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
All right, best of luck, guys. And when I get off here, I know you'll probably kick me under the table at 6 to 50, but at least I know that.
Not yet. We got to wait a little longer until we start kicking you when you're down.
There you go. Well, best wishes, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ben Shelton of MSR Mafia.
Wow, what a guy.
MSRMafia.com. And frankly, for what this guy does for dirt track racing, I'm going to start recommending him to a lot of people. You talk about the Midwest needs somebody to push, what we're trying to do on the front stretch. We can only do so much. This guy is not only smart, he's dedicated, and he does great work. So you got to start recommending him different businesses.
I'm on his website, msrmafia.com, website design, press release packages, announcing, sponsorship proposals, driver portfolios. I mean, he does just about anything and everything. And I'm not a betting man, but I bet 9 out of 10 times he's going to go above and beyond for everybody.
Yep. And despite his client list, he's still dedicated.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could do what he does. I'd love to try. I'll tell you what, I'd love to try, but I don't know if I could do it. Listen, we went along. We got to get over into turn number 3 and talk with Hudson Hall. Then back in turn 4, we'll do our picks and thoughts on Phoenix International Raceway. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube has been voted festival favorite once again at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. Visit Quaker Steak and Lube for our Best Wings USA, sauced your way.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 3.
You know what everybody's been asking me, Dan? You know, they know the front stretch is fired back up. Everybody loved the Legends of the Dirt. I mean, the Legends of the Dirt this year was awesome, but we're back, 2014 here, or the 2014 season's here, as I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Everybody's asking, slinging dirt. When are we going to start talking a lot of dirt track racing? Well, Dillon Smith, he did win down there at the Winter Series at Kokopo Speedway down there in Kokopo, Arizona. He did really good. He ran his first USMTS race this year. He's got 2 races in, I believe. Both times made the 8 feature. So I've been telling everybody, April 1st, get ready.
That's when we're going to start doing it?
April 1st. The week of the April 1st.
Well, and we've got, as we always try to do, mix in as much dirt talk on the front stretch. I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview. We've got Shaylee Bade and Todd Staley coming up next weekend.
Wow.
And by the way, this is just to get you guys ready for dirt season, and then we kind of pivot and let Sling and Dirt take care of a lot of the dirt stuff, because as much as we'd love to talk dirt, and we will continue to talk to dirt drivers, it's hard to make it right now because we record the show on Wednesdays, and if something happened that weekend, it doesn't happen until until the next Sunday that it actually
and
airs.
There's a lot of times that, let's be honest, sometimes the dirt season we've talked about, just like NASCAR races, some of the NASCAR races can be quite boring to watch.
Yeah.
But sometimes some of the dirt races can be quite boring. But if there's something really big and exciting happening in NASCAR, we're probably going to focus on that. If there's something big happening in dirt racing, we're going to focus on that. But at least this way, the Sling and Dirt, it's all dirt, it's all raw, it's unedited, it's on YouTube, and boy, we've had some doozies on the Sling and Dirt.
It's been, and like we said, we'll continue to talk dirt here on the front stretch, but for the most part, the front stretch is
50-50.
The front stretch's dirt commitment is going to be getting you ready for the big things that are coming. Like, for instance, like you talked about, the spring meltdown. When is that? April
5th and 6th.
April 5th and 6th.
4th and 5th.
4th and 5th. You're right. April 4th and 5th at I-80 Speedway. So that weekend before, we're going to talk to Joe Koziski. The weekend before that, we're going to try to talk to Jack Dover, who's probably going to be racing there. So we'll get you prepped up for it. But that Wednesday before is going to be a big show for us, because we're going to talk a lot about that spring meltdown.
I saw Andrew today down at Koziski Auto Parts. He was watching ESPN while the other people were working on the counter there. We were talking about that spring meltdown.
Be careful, because that kid's kicking your butt in the Pick'ems contest.
Yeah, he's getting lucky.
Yeah, right.
So, we'll go into that turn 4.
How far did you fall behind last year? Anyways, we'll talk about that turn 4.
So, anyways, we were talking that 4th and 5th spring meltdown. That's a big race. And here's why. At the end of the year, and you've seen this, Dan, at the end of the year, when we go to these big specials, we know we're getting ready to go into hibernation mode, also known as winter. So a lot of times there's, the adult after hours after the races. We're drinking our favorite beverages and whatnot. Well, guess what? April 4th and 5th, Spring Meltdown I-80. It's one of the first races going on at I-80. So now everybody's going to want to have their favorite adult beverage after the races, going, Andrew, we've been doing all winter.
Yeah.
You ran good tonight.
It's just, it's a great, I love that Joe does that at I-80 Speedway. It's a great way to kind of shake everything off.
Yep.
You get out of the winter chill, and even though Friday, Saturday, and what it will be today, it's hard to talk about getting out of the winter chill, but nonetheless, it'll come around, and hopefully in April we'll be nice and thawed out, and we can go out and watch some great racing.
And then you look at the week, I think it's April 12th and 13th, Eagle Raceway.
Yep.
Their annual icebreaker.
Yep. There's a lot of great racing.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing. The Dairy Brothers at Crawford County. Good God. I mean, we have got some tremendous racing coming down the pipe.
And that's the reason why we want to start the Sling and Dirt back up on April 1st, so we can kind of keep you guys locked in with what's going on in the dirt world at a faster pace, at a much more updated pace. It's not like the newspaper where you got to wait for it to come out on Sunday to find out what happened that week in the world. That's kind of how the front stretch works when you guys want to find out about Dirt Series. You got to wait 8 days to find out.
Yep.
So we are, 7 days, but yeah, so I seriously just said 8 days.
Wow.
There's 8 days in
You've
my
been
week,
drinking
by
too
the
many of
way.
them lube tubes at Quaker Steak and Lube.
God, I tell you.
8 days?
8 days.
So
It feels like there's 8 days
Is there
in my
25
week.
hours in your day then?
I have a long work week.
Yeah, you do.
All right, we're going to go back into a break. I know it was a quick one, but we tried to get Hudson Hall, but the guys he got stuck when we were doing the recording that night. He was stuck in layovers in Houston, so he wasn't able to do the recording this weekend. We'll get him next weekend. We'll get him on the show. We'll get updated with the Motorsports Group and all the different stuff that's going on with old Hudson over there at TMG. So we'll be right back here on the front stretch. We're going to head into turn number 4 and talk Phoenix International Raceway. We'll be right back.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he's talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Heading into turn number 4, about ready to wrap this baby up on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com. It is the second race of 2014 in the NASCAR season. And that means you need to get your picks to me by noon today. Actually, I'm sorry, by 2 p.m. today. That's when green flag will wave. And it's not official green flag time, but, coverage really kicks over to on the track and the coverage booth at 2 p.m. So green flag's probably about 2:15 or so.
As long as you have your picks and frontstretch590@gmail.com
I'm telling you,
green flag, you're good.
Get them to me by 2 p.m. if you would, please. If we got to get technical, I'll figure out exactly what time the green flag waves. Right. But let's just try to keep it by the book so I don't have to deal with any people being mad at me. Talk about the picks last weekend. You and I talked about it. I was shocked that only one person took Dale Jr.
I'm shocked that we had as many people as we did. I thought we were going to have 4 or 5 in the first year out. We have 15 people in the standings. That's awesome. But I tell you what, for the first week or two, I think anybody can still jump in and still win this.
Oh, easily. We talked about, look at how many races we had last year where we took somebody and they finished outside of the top 30.
You were so far behind
36.
in points, you were in your own zip code.
Well, we joked about it. At one point in time, I was some 80 points behind.
Yeah.
And I came back to finish I came back and tied Andrew at one point in time, and then I had a bad pick at Phoenix last year going into Homestead, and it put me 25 behind, and then...
At one time, I had like a 50-point lead, and I ended up falling back
that was
100 points.
Your peak lead was was Kansas when Kenseth won that first Kansas race, and then you got the 50-point fine, and then it was reversed to a 12-point fine.
And then it just went downhill.
And just week after week, we kept catching you. And so, yeah, the pickups contest got to be a lot of fun. And we had a lot of fun with it.
Anybody can still win this. Even if you didn't get into the pickups contest, there are prizes. If whoever scores the most points each week gets 2 races to Joe's Karting. Second and third place, they get 1 free race to Joe's Karting every week. And every 5 weeks we're giving out a prize pack. Come on. And it costs nothing to do.
Yeah, it's an absolutely free contest. Frankly, I think, do I overload you with stats, like sending out those? Because I haven't sent out. I sent.
Do you really think I read them anyways?
Well, I think it's helpful, but at some point in time, it may be just a little bit too much information. But I get stat books. They're 30-page stat books from NASCARmedia.com, the subscription that we have, and all the information you could ever think of, you needed.
Well, if somebody wants to know something, can they email you back and say, "Can you?" There you go.
Absolutely. But I send that out every, I try to send it out on Tuesdays whenever NASCAR gets it done. I'll send out the Phoenix one. I'll send out the coming race on Friday, practice times. Typically, I would recommend that you guys wait until qualifying to pick your drivers. Super Speedways doesn't matter.
It's a crapshoot.
Listen. Well, all Hendrick cars qualified outside the top 20 at Daytona. 3 of 4 of them finished in the top 5. I mean, qualifying at super speedways means nothing. But there's tracks like Kansas or Michigan or Bristol.
I was going to say Bristol, Richmond, Martinsville.
If you qualify in the back, you're going to have a rough day. And even though it could be Tony Stewart who's good at, or Jimmy Johnson who's good at Martinsville, but if he qualifies 36th, it's going to be
some work.
He's got a long ways to go, and that's a track that you could very easily get caught up in an accident. Current points leader, the only person that took the 88 car, Jim Laughlin, good buddy of mine, who's been a NASCAR friend of mine for quite a few years, took the 88 to be in victory lane, so he is the points leader as of right now. Had 5 people that took the 11 car, and I was laughing about it as I was watching the race because I was like, well, we said that whoever had the most points got 2 races, second place got 1, and third place got 1. Well, we have 5 people tied for second place.
I don't think that's going to stay like that very long, though.
Oh, no. And, after Phoenix today, we may have still another tie because, a lot of guys took the 11. A lot of guys took the 18, the 20. 78 was a popular car to take at Daytona. So there was a couple, and so there's a lot of repeat picks. It'll be over the season as it all flushes out. So, like you talked about, though, you can still get your picks into me, still get into this contest absolutely free. And by the way, there are, 4 drivers or 5 drivers that are still in single digits?
5.
Do you mean to list them off for you real quick?
No. No.
A couple of people took Kyle Larson that obviously had a rough race.
You know what's going to be interesting in this point series is Lucas Brooks, I believe it is, and Kerry Hancock forgot to lift off their series champion, which may come in handy come tiebreaker time.
I need to bring that question up to you. Those who get into the Pick'ems contest late, do we let them take a championship pick?
If it's a new person getting into the Pick'ems, they can pick their series champion.
Then should we let Lucas and Kerry?
No, because they already got to pick their chance.
But Lucas and Kerry and anybody new have the exact same chance of picking the right winner. Just because, everybody watched Daytona. Now these people are just getting into the contest late. So do we give them a grace and say, okay, guys? It's still early. It's one race. Nothing means that, this race means nothing.
Right now, the points mean nothing right now.
Except the only advantage they have is that they know of one driver that is definitely locked into the chase.
Yeah.
That's what's different this year than last year. Yep. Last year, whoever won Daytona, it was a great trophy and a great payday, but it didn't mean
nothing. Yep.
It just meant you have 5 extra bonus points or 3 extra bonus points.
We know Junior's running for the championship now.
We know he's in the chase right now with his win. So, final thoughts.
I say when you make your decision, we sent the email, they read the rules, they did not pick their champion. Now, if Joe Bloke emails this week and says, I want to do it, here's my champion pick.
Okay, we're going to go by the rules. We're going to stick by the rules. Anybody that joins from now on doesn't get the tiebreaker. So if it does come down to a tiebreaker after Homestead, whoever joined late, I'm sorry, you're SOL. But you're still going to get prizes. Because you're going to finish second or maybe even third, you're still going to get prize packs.
Like I said, if Jim Bob signs on this week and says, well, look, I take Junior to be series champion, well, that really doesn't, it's only the second week.
If this was last year, I'd agree with you. But because of the changes in the rules, I got to disagree with you. I got to say
your call.
I got to say Jim Bob has an advantage over those who already picked. Look at, let's see. I'm trying to look at some of the championship picks here who are in kind of a tough predicament. Really, nobody is.
I did have one good question asked to me by a couple people. These are only for points paying races, right?
Correct.
So no all-star race?
No.
Okay.
And by the way, I do want to point this out. Last year, we did take drivers who weren't. We'll take Austin Dillon, for instance, or mine was Brian Vickers' pick when he substituted for.
You're going with the car, is what you're going with.
You're
picking
NASCAR
the car, not the driver.
For instance, Austin Dillon wasn't running for points last year in the Cup Series, but he did race the 14 car and the 33 car a couple of times. So even though NASCAR doesn't award them points, I will figure out the points that they would have been awarded. So you can pick a driver, and that helps you out in your strategy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you could take a driver that's not a full-time, that saves you a pick for later on in the season.
Yep.
I'll also tell you the tip I thought of this weekend. Don't pick a good driver at a super speedway.
That's why you think I took Larson. But Larson at this point is not a Tony Stewart. Larson is not a Jimmy Johnson. Larson is not a Kenseth or a Carl Edwards.
which those are the guys you need to leave for the grid, for the chase grid. You need to leave those for later in the season when you need 48 full points. Mm-hmm. You know, honestly, I think that was the deciding factor to Andrew winning it last year, was when he walked into the chase last 10 races, he had 2 Johnson picks. I had 1. I don't think you had any, did you? Mm-mm. Maybe you had 1. I think you had 1 left. But that was the deciding factor. I mean, he was able to keep those Johnson picks, and he made full use of them, too. I mean, he got big point saves out of him.
Oh, yeah.
So that's let's talk about Phoenix International Raceway. The driver with the best rating at Phoenix International Raceway is Jimmy Johnson. What a surprise.
Okay, let's not talk him. Who's the next driver with the best rating? We know Jimmy Johnson's going to be a threat any track he goes.
Tony Stewart is next with a average finish of 13th. Okay, look at this, though. The gap. Jimmy Johnson, average finish of 6.1, 6th. Tony Stewart, 13th.
Who's 3?
There's a 7-position difference between the guy who was the best at Phoenix and the guy who is the second best at Phoenix. Jeff Gordon comes in next, 13.1. Kurt Busch comes in 4th, 13.3. And, I'm reading that off wrong. But 4th is Kurt Busch, and Kevin Harvick is the 5th best driver of active drivers. All these drivers have 17 or 18 total starts at Phoenix International. So it's not like somebody like AJ Allmendinger that is 14th in the standings because his average finish is 15th, but he's only raced there 9 times. These guys up in the top 5, they've raced there 18 times or 17 times, and they've got 6th place average finish, 10th place average finish, 11th place average finish. So that's your the kind of the pre-race book that I emailed out. Johnson again, best start to finish ratio of any driver. Going on down the list here, I'm trying to find. Let's see, Bobby Labonte is the best closer. Obviously, you don't want to take him because he's not racing. Jamie McMurray is next. Average spots gained. Jamie McMurray ranks second because he has an average of 24 positions he moves up in a race at Phoenix. That might be a good pick. Jamie and over at EGR, I'm not a big fan of those guys. He may be a good pick to take early. You never know. So that's kind of our opinion. Who are you going to take today?
I think who was number 3? Busch?
In the driver ratings?
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon.
Which Busch was it?
Kurt Busch is 4th.
Man, I'm really liking Busch, but
I am too.
I'm really liking it, but I want to see, because Busch he's one of those unforeseen threats at any given moment. But I'm liking McMurray too. I mean, like you said,
Did I talk you into it?
Yeah, but I know you talked me into several positions last year and it cost me, so don't listen to everything.
One time that happened. Several times
I
talked
Busch.
you out. Okay, you're going to take which one?
Which one was 4th?
Kurt. So you're taking
I'm going to take Kurt.
You're taking the 41, Kurt Busch.
Yep.
Okay, I got you marked down. Get your picks in to me before time runs out. 2 p.m. today to get your picks in for Phoenix International Raceway. Green flag waves at 2 o'clock. You can catch all the action at Quaker Steak and Lube on the big screens at QSL. Compact bucket of wings and lube tubes. It is becoming my favorite food. The best burgers in town, though. The Texas Cheeseburger Melt. If you get an opportunity, get in there and give your taste buds a run for their money. No pun intended. All right, next weekend we got a big show lined up for you. We're going to try to get Hudson Hall on, as we keep trying every single weekend. Plus, we'll talk more about what happened at Phoenix. We'll preview Las Vegas and so much more. Thanks for joining us today. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube has been voted festival favorite once again at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. Visit Quaker Steak and Lube for our Best Wings USA, sauced your way.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
This has been The Front Stretch, presented by Kaziski Auto Parts at 51st and I Street in Omaha. Become a fan of the Front Stretch on Facebook or email Dan, Buddy, and Andrew at frontstretch590@gmail.com.